All right, so we have just recalled, are we recording? Yes. I've just recalled the three layers of the earth during our discussion and during our quiz about, pre-test about module one. So it's a general introduction of what we're going to learn for the first 3 weeks, and that is almost 12 days. Yeah, minus one Friday because it would be completion of outputs, checking of outputs online. Okay, so the first guide question we have answered is what are the different layers of the earth? We have the mantle, the outer core, the inner core, and the crust. Okay, so for our lesson during these weeks, we would focus on the lithosphere. All right, so the lithosphere is the outer layer of the earth, which is comprised of uh, the crust and the upper mantle. Now, um, another guide question is for us to really understand, ayan, we have to look at this picture. Ayan, it says there, Pacific Ring of Fire. All right, so how does belonging to the Pacific Ring of Fire affect the Philippines? So, according to your grade 9 science, part of your lessons were about volcanoes. And you have learned that the position of the Philippines in the Ring of Fire and its relationship to the presence of many active and inactive volcanoes in our country are very much related. So, later on, I will also discuss about active and inactive volcanoes. But let's just have a brief summary and introduction of Module 1. So in this module, we will study thoroughly the framework that will enable us to understand how and why several features of the Earth continuously change. So if you will look at the history of the Earth, and just by looking merely at the continents, and you will see that there are drastic changes happening to the Earth. So this theory, okay, to understand the changes or the movements that are happening to continents and the lithosphere, we call this theory plate tectonics. Okay, so it is a theory that describes events within the earth. So it's inside the earth that gives rise to mountain ranges. So dito tayo magpo-focus, volcanoes, earthquake belts, and other features of the earth's surface. So not only those, but also rift valleys, hotspots, and a lot more. So, being in the Pacific Ring of Fire makes the Philippines prone to this kind of landforms. All right, mountain ranges, volcanoes, earthquake belts, and rift valleys, trenches, right? And our country is blessed with so many land features. It's an advantage actually, such as mountains and volcanoes. So as you can see, this is Taal volcano, a picture of its recent eruption during the year 2020. Yan, hindi tayo nalalayo. These features can be sources of different minerals or can be used for agricultural purposes. So we know that volcanoes emit rocks that are helpful to our geologists, and as well minerals that can be used for construction. Now for the agricultural side, some farmers believe that the soil becomes healthier when there's or fertile when uh, volcanic eruptions happen, but it takes a long time before that land recovers. Now, so this is an example of uh, a volcano we are blessed with. Yan, Taal volcano. Another is from Albay, which is Mayon volcano. So for example, we have the majestic and world-renowned Mayon volcano. Yeah. So because of its activity, it produces fertile slopes wherein our farmers can plant, right? And plains which are used by locals to grow their crops. So usually, fertile slopes, yan, na, naglalaro yung aking, ano, yan, Mayon volcano, Taal, Mayon, and this one is, I believe, also Mayon. Yan. Mount Makiling. So why is it online with Mount Mayon and Mount Taal? Ay, sorry, volcano. Taal volcano and Mayon volcano. Because Mount Makiling is an inactive volcano. Yeah, it's an inactive volcano because it releases its pressure on the hot spring. So, sa Makiling, di ba, maraming hot spring. So, yung uh, the high temperature is being vent out of the volcano, di ba? Out of the volcano through these hot springs. Kaya hindi siya nag-erupt. It is because meron siyang releasean ng pressure niya. And those are the hot springs here in Laguna. And of course, Mount Banahaw, which is also believed to be an inactive volcano. Kahit wala kayong nakikitang mouth or opening ng volcano, Banahaw has also hot springs, which is located in Louisiana. Yan. So, it's also a determining factor that geological movements are occurring below these large land masses or mountains. So moving on, and also found in the northeastern coast of Luzon, we have Sierra Madre. Yeah. So that's why it's called mountain range because sunod-sunod siya yung mga bundok. Okay, bulubundukin in Tagalog, which is home to many endemic species of flora and fauna. Again, flora are plants and animals. Fauna, flora and fauna. Have you ever wondered why our country is endowed with this kind of geologic feature? So bakit kaya ang dami nating mountain range, mountain, yeah, volcanoes and other landforms? Why do you think so? Well, if your answer is yes, then this module will help you find answer to your question. So parang nasagot na nga natin actually kanina. So for those who will be watching this video, the reason why we have too many landforms which are advantageous to us, meron din naman siyang disadvantage class, pero the reason why we have so many of them is because we belong or we are included in the Pacific Ring of Fire, wherein a lot of plate movements or plate tectonics are happening. Yan. So, new word sa atin yung plate tectonics, right? Ayan. So, plate tectonics came from two words, plate and tectonics. Right? Plate means segments under the Earth's crust. So if it's the Earth's crust, underneath are the plates. Okay, so hindi mismong yung landmass sa ibabaw yung plates, but yung segments sa ilalim. And underneath the plates, yun yung magma, the mantle. Kaya siya gumagalaw. So, malalaman din natin yun in this module. Kung bakit sila gumagalaw, it's because there is semi-liquid, di ba? Yung mantle natin sa ilalim nila. Okay. Tectonics, on the other hand, plate is segments under the Earth's crust, and tectonics means movement. Or in short, okay, this is the movement of the Earth's crust. That's plate tectonics. Okay. What is the relationship among the location of volcanoes, earthquake epicenters, and mountain ranges? This is the question that we will be trying to answer and in our discussions, in our learning tasks during this week 1 to week 3. Paano nga ba naging related kung saan nandoon ang mga bulkan, earthquake epicenters, and mountain range? Are they related and why? Right? So, but first, we need to discuss the crust or the lithosphere. The crust is made of a very solid rocks like sedimentary, metamorphic, and igneous. It has an average density of 2.8 grams per centimeter cube. Yan, cubic centimeter. Parang nahuli pa yon. And its thickness ranges from 5 to 50 kilometers. Don't forget about that. The average density is 2.8 grams per cubic centimeter and its thickness is 5 to 50 kilometers. The crust is thickest in the part where a relatively young mountain, so makapal yung crust, there's a mountain, is present, and thinnest along the ocean floor. So if you will observe our crust or the example of crust in our picture, and the ocean, the crust found on the ocean or the oceanic crust is relatively thinner than the continental crust wherein we can find mountains. Okay, you will notice that there are two kinds of crust: the continental crust and the oceanic crust. Correct. The oceanic crust, which is relatively thinner, so remember that the major difference between the oceanic and continental crust is their thickness, right? Oceanic crust are thicker than the continental crust. So I'll break you into breakout rooms and to groups, and then I'll let you do an activity. Activity number 1. So you just have to analyze a picture of the crust and answer the following guide question. So it's up to you. And if you will have one word answers or complete sentences, basta you will assign a leader and later on to report your results here in our online platform. So if you're watching and you're one of my modular or blended learning students, and you can pass your answers on our Google Classroom again or through Messenger. Yeah. But if you're pure online, yan, might as well you need to report today. Okay, so there are two kinds of crust. Nasabi ko na yan kanina. Yan. And yan, I'll break you out now na. Okay. Very good presentations. Now, why is it important for us to know the difference between the two kinds of crust? And you need to support your answer. That's a learning task or assignment number 1 found on our Google Classroom. Okay, so according to the plate tectonics model, the entire lithosphere of the Earth is broken into numerous segments called plates. So can you name plates that you can see? Correct? Eurasian plate. Any other? Australian plate. That's good. Caucasus plate. And so no need to answer all of it. But these are examples of plates found beneath the earth. Yeah. So again, for your activity number 1, so after your group activity, we will have an individual activity. You're going to list the names of the plate boundaries, as many as you can. Yan, napakadami niyan. You're just going to list. Okay, I'll give you 5 minutes to do that. Timer starts now. Great. You did great. Yeah. So you've named almost all of the plates found on the world map. Now that you are familiar with those plates, yan, what can you say about the map of the plate boundaries? Yan. Anyone can answer me orally in this group. And if you're not online, if you're watching this as a replay, you can place your answers on a piece of paper anything that you can observe. Yan. Okay? And let's proceed to the meaning of plate tectonics. Again, it is the movement of the plates. It came from plate and tectonics. Causes changes and events on the surface of the earth. The reason why we have a lot of land formations in the Philippines is because of a lot of plate tectonics happening underneath us. And dahil yan, we are above the, what do you call that, the Pacific Ring of Fire. Okay, so write on your notebooks the answers to this if you have your notebooks, but I believe I have left Google Docs for you to answer on our Google Classroom. That will be the first part of our lecture for day 1. I'll see you after 10 minutes, or sorry, 15 minutes. I'll give you a 15-minute break so that later on we can proceed with our batch 2 lesson for day 1. Okay, I'll see you again.